always say it's like a pie. Your life is a pie. You've got your job, you've got your family, you've got your relationship with your spouse, you have relationships with your friends, you have your hobbies, you have, this circle of life. And whatever you give your time to is what you'll be good at. So the assumption that just because your career is popping means that your marriage is okay is very haughty. Anything you don't work at will disintegrate.
And how many?
And I think.
Go ahead. No, continue, Rebecca. I'm sorry.
Well, and I just think that it's very common for us to think because we're succeeding in one area that everything else will just take care of itself. And I think that's very short-sighted.
Hey everyone, welcome to Better Together with Maria Menounos, and as you can probably guess, I'm not Maria Menounos, I'm Mr. Maria Menounos. Kevin Undergaro is sitting in for my lovely and talented wife. Tonight we have on friends of Maria's, and I'm hoping to become friends of ours, Terry Crews and his lovely wife, Rebecca King Crews. I'm going to open with a little quote, Kelsey.
Yes, please do.
This one really hit me. I think it's going to hit a lot of our male viewers, and a lot of the female viewers. Please share it with your men. This one really hit me hard, and I'm gonna, anyway. We'll spend all the time we can find on our careers, but we need to be spending more time studying on how to be a great husband, how to be a great father, how to be a great man, and that was, of course, from Terry Crews.
So
and
good.
And as a man, we just think the success is the first thing, and then everything else will fall into place, and we forget that. I have forgotten it recently, and this is such a great reminder and a reset. Actor, comedian, author, artist, TV personality, and former professional football player Terry Crews and his wife, actress, singer, and producer Rebecca King Crews, met back in 1989. This dynamic duo has endured the NFL, Hollywood fame, addiction, and cancer throughout their ongoing 4 decades together. When you think of Hollywood romances and power couples over the past century, this couple is the goat of all goats. What makes them even more special is their genuine care for humanity, as evidenced in their new audiobook, Stronger Together, How Fame, Failure, and Faith Transformed Our Lives, designed to help other couples in their journeys. For anyone seeking success in life, parenting, and marriage, this is the book and the people you need to listen to. Better Together is honored to welcome Terry Crews and Rebecca King Crews. Hey guys, thank you so much for being on the show and for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Such an inspiration, and I want to go back to 1989 and when y'all get together. And Terry, were you already a professional football player at that point, or were you? Where were you
Not
at career-wise? No.
No, I was it's funny. We actually met in '88, and I was 19 years old. And
he was a baby,
a sophomore, and playing football at Western Michigan University. And I was introduced to her by a friend who brought me to her church, and she was playing on the keys, and I was like, "Woo, she's cute," And again, that was I had big dreams though, man, big dreams. And let me tell you, one of the things that I'm gonna fast forward just a little bit.
Go ahead.
To the point where we got engaged, and I remember us sitting outside of a Wendy's hamburger spot, and I said, what's going to happen is we are going to play in the NFL, and then we're going to move to LA, and we're going to make movies. And she was like, that's exactly what I'm with you. I love that.
Yeah,
idea.
because her background was in theater and the arts too, right. Rebecca?
Yes, I was studying musical theater at Western. So Terry and I would have never crossed paths except for at church. Because I did not go to football games, and he didn't come to the theater. So,
but I hear that Mark Wahlberg said that too. Like sometimes just go to your church if you want to meet your significant other. Because think about it, right? You're of like mind. There's already a great connection.
Well, it's just people trying to improve themselves. That's really what church is about. That's it. Like people who are looking, because they know the answer is outside of them, and we had similar values. We knew what we wanted.
Well, I talk about that in the book, that I had made a list of the things I wanted in a husband. And the more I got to know Terry, the more I saw that he was the guy on the list.
Now, Rebecca, how old were you when you made this list?
I made the list. Let's see. My first list I made at about 17. And then my second time, I think I was about 20. And I think it was, I may be wrong, but I think I was about 20 and it was before I met him.
And Rebecca, is
And
this something you
I,
came up
yeah,
with on your own, or did someone did you get this from an advisor?
you know, there were several people who have influenced my philosophies on marriage, but there was a young, or I would call them young, they were in their 30s, a couple at my church, Ed and Dee Caudle. So if
That's
you
right.
guys are watching, Dee Caudle gave me this idea. She said that because I loved her marriage, she and her husband were like peas in a pod.
Yeah.
And she told me how she'd made a list of what she wanted and told God what she wanted. And I said, that sounds like a plan, because I told God what I wanted for career. I told God what I wanted for life. I might as well tell him what I want in a husband. And so I made a list that initially was way too perfect.
Okay, yeah, we
And then
hear that.
I scratched that list and I've narrowed it down to about 4 basic things. And he was it.
Yeah.
And other than the fact that he was younger than me, he met all the qualifications. And I started to go, maybe he's the one.
What were the 4 basic things?
The number one is he had to have a love for God. Number 2, he had to be someone who really loved family, which he did. Number 3 was that I wanted 4 children. And number 4 was that he had to be in the arts. He had to either be a musician, actor, writer, director. I said, because I'm going to be a star and he's going to need to understand my life.
Yes.
You know, he needs to understand auditioning, and he needs to understand that. And matter of fact, when we were dating, I was doing Dreamgirls.
That's right.
And I had to kiss an actor. I was playing Dina and had to kiss another actor. I said, yeah, he's going to have to understand that I might have to kiss somebody
right.
who doesn't need anything.
That's
you know?
right.
But I actually worked on that play while she was
He
doing
joined the
it.
crew.
I joined the
So he
crew.
could watch
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on things.
And I was moving stuff around in the background, the whole thing.
And the funny thing is that Terry had never done anything like that. He'd never done a play
Mm.
or other than his breakdancing. He used to break dance.
Yeah, that's it.
But he
Yeah.
had never acted. And then he became the actor.
It's crazy.
Isn't it funny? So here's why I relate to you guys, and I think other couples will too. So when I met Maria Menounos, my wife, I was head writer at MTV, and I was the one that was like you know, saying, hey, we're going to make movies and have a life in the arts. And, you know, Maria was at 19 and she was like, well, I want to produce movies and, you know, yeah, I'll do some stuff on camera. Well, you know, God had different plans. Maria exploded. And so then I had to, you know, adjust my role. And I'm very team oriented as I came up in sports like you, Terry. So my thing is like, okay, I'm going to now adjust my role. And, you know, for the greater of our unit, Maria, you got the hot hand right now. So we're going to go with you, and I'm going to do all the stuff behind the scenes to help you, our family, take care of mom and dad, all that stuff that kind of fell on me. I call myself the corporate wife. but you probably had, that was a big shift too, right, Rebecca? Like,
Yes,
right?
very much.
Can you
Yes,
talk
it
about
was.
that?
Well, part of my shift had come prior to meeting Terry because I had a daughter.
Yes.
I gave birth to my first child as a junior in college.
Wow, that's right.
And so, though I had little Naomi, who's our oldest, I still was trying to perform a little bit. And I was also doing music in the church, just trying to keep my talent alive. And I really didn't have any idea what was going to become of my career plans, because my dream was to go to New York and do Broadway and that whole side of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I put my daughter first. I just decided that this little girl didn't deserve to be carried around like a backpack while I tried to make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to dump her on my mother. And I said, well, God, if one day I get to do all this, fingers crossed. But she was first. And then in the process of caring for her and finishing school, I met him. And suddenly it was like, wow, you know, this sense of my life shifting away from what I thought I would be doing.
But
now,
you allowed that shift too. Like a lot of people, I don't
Yeah.
think allow that shift.
But this is the wonderful thing. When we did the family cruise, we did a wonderful episode where I did a one-woman show.
Mm.
And I sat down and calculated all the viewers. We had about 2 million viewers a week. And I calculated I would have had to done 10 years of live Broadway shows for that many people to see me perform. So it's like God made up for my Broadway career.
Amen.
Because I got to be on TV.
Amen.
And I got to do all the things I'm doing now and have my family, which really was very, very, of course, family really is first.
And the Family Cruise was a reality show that
Yes.
was really early.
Way too early, if I may say so. Today would it be 12 seasons? And yes, way ahead. I know. 2 seasons you guys got.
I got to say this too, but there were shifts because I never saw myself, with a woman with a baby. That was crazy to me. I'm 19 years old, and we got married the day before my 21st birthday. Okay, so I was still 20, and I'm going, oh my God, I don't know. And this baby's 2 years old, so I'm like, man. But when I proposed, when we knew we were going to be engaged, actually it was a moment we knew we were going to be together. I just said, Rebecca, I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where this road leads, but I'm willing, and so we both had to shift what we thought our lives would be, you know what I mean?
And then even after we got married, I still thought I might be able to go to New York and audition and things like that. But then he was on 7 teams in 6 years, and then we had another baby.
Yeah.
And so I had this, again, shift where I said, I have these children. I want to raise these children. I don't want other people to raise my children. And I said, I'm going to just do this mom thing. I'm going to be a mom and a wife and support his dream.
Right.
And when we moved to LA, which was 97.
97.
So after 7 years, we moved to LA. Then I started having this rebirth, like something saying, you know what, Rebecca, now you can start working with producers and musicians, and you can start, because now you're in the place where the two of you can do it. And I just slowly began pursuing some of my own dreams while still having children. I had 3 more children after we moved here.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing it. So I just say God flip-flopped my plans and put the family first. And I'm doing my career now in midlife.
So would you guys both agree that, having the ability to shift and evolve and adjust plays a big part in having a successful relationship?
First of all, I think it plays a important role in just the way the world is now. Like when you talk about, being creative and adaptability.
Adaptability today.
Adaptability, number one. We had to pick up. This was so cool. It was almost like the football years were training for what we're going through now. Because we could move at the drop of a hat. It was like, pack the bags, let's go. But we were mobile. We weren't like, oh no, you're gonna leave my parents. I'll never leave. That we'll break up if you ever leave my immediate family. No, we were like, we're out, we're gone. In fact, but listen, this was so crazy. When in 1997, she's the one who told me. She said, "Hey Terry, remember when you said we were gonna go to LA and make movies?" She said, "I don't see your heart in football anymore. Let's go." And I was like, "Are you serious? Are you ready?" Yeah. She said, "Let's go." And we packed up our truck. We put our 2 kids in the back, had everything we owned, and moved out to LA and didn't know a soul. That's the kind of thing that got us ready. So now in Hollywood and even with COVID and all this stuff, we're ready to adjust. We're always been adaptable. And I thank God for Rebecca for being that. Just mobile and adaptable to me,
No,
it's just amazing.
You're right, and it's life. It's life too, for all times, but especially now. It's the people that can adapt and get with like the new way that are gonna come out of this great.
Yeah.
But I see it in your relationship, and I go into another quote of yours, Terry. Success is the warmest place to hide.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a male.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, I've been there, and I know a lot of guys, like, you think you can't be wrong because I'm succeeding. I'm providing a great house or a great life.
Right.
Like, so how can I be wrong at all?
Yeah. And I was that guy, man. First of all, there was no end of people I could go to tell me how great I was, you know. And I was like, look, there's evidence. I mean, everybody's like, Terry, you're great. You're there, you're there. And you know what? And I even got to say this, which is crazy because, I get really, really deep in the book about a lot of my issues. And I've had some very prominent people come up to me and say, well, Terry, I mean, hey, man, what you did wasn't that bad. And then I looked at them and I remember saying, I said, hey, man, but that's not my call to make. That was and he went, oh my God. Like, the thing is, he was like we always do as men. It's like, well, at least I'm not like this, or at least I'm not like that. Look how great I am.
Yeah.
But the deal is the person that you are having a relationship with, if their needs aren't met, if they are not heeded, if they feel worried and scared and don't like you, you have a problem.
Yeah.
Well, and I always say it's like a pie. Your life is a pie. You've got your job, you've got your family, you've got your relationship with your spouse, you have relationships with your friends, you have your hobbies, you have, this circle of life. And whatever you give your time to is what you'll be good at. So the assumption that just because your career is popping means that your marriage is okay
Yeah.
is very haughty. Anything you don't work at will disintegrate.
And how many?
And I think,
Go ahead. No, continue, Rebecca. I'm sorry.
well, and I just think that it's very common for us to think because we're succeeding in one area that everything else will just take care of itself. And I think that's very short-sighted.
I love how you put it. Very common. Yes, indeed. Very common to think that way. And it's easy to fall into that kind of thinking. How many, like, you guys think about it in our business, for the people who don't have life partners that are with them at the end, it doesn't end pretty.
No.
I can tell you so many A-listers, that male and female, that are alone and sad, and they're lucky they have a little money left to have an assistant or a housekeeper that can take care of them. But
right, and they leave everything to the housekeeper.
Yeah. We see it all the time, rather than, when hey, I've got my best friend no matter what, and that's going to get me through in the long run.
I got a news flash, and it was one of the news flashes that I got just years ago, and it was like, hey, rich people die too.
Yeah.
It was like, we have a thought that, man, if somebody's rich, they're not going to die. Nothing bad is going to happen. And I said, man, first of all, if I don't take care of this woman, the person who really loves me, the one who knows me more than anyone, the one who sacrificed, the one who had my children. I mean, we've lost homes, we've lost children, we have been through so much. And I said, for me to not take care of this woman and think that I was just going to go off and have another life and be happy is ridiculous. It just does not work that way. And my big thing is that it was a watershed moment the day she walked out. Yeah. It opened up everything for me. I was like, what? And you know what's crazy? I literally was like, good. Okay, you know what? Bye.
Yeah, male ego. Yes.
The arrogance that we have, the male, I said this before, the male ego is its own animal.
It is.
And it's ferocious.
And animal is the best word, because we are so much more like the animals in the relationship.
Animal. And yes. I mean ferocious, and it's always hungry, and it's always eating, and it's never satisfied. And it's one of those things that you can get in so much pride that you don't even see anything, the forest for the trees. And I was like, bye, okay, go ahead. And then all of a sudden there's this little voice that came to me and said, maybe it's me. No, it couldn't be me. You know what? It's the fact that I'm Black. It's the fact that I grew up poor. It's the fact that, the church has tripped my mind out. And it was the fact that I was in sports culture, and I had all these reasons to blame everybody else. But none of them held. It was only me. And man, and when that egg got cracked, I was trying to put it back in. I was trying to get the yolk, and it got messier and messier. And I was left there in my own mess, like, it is me. It has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with anybody else.
And
It was major.
in the book, don't you guys talk about the childhood issues that affect us? Can we talk a
Yeah.
little bit about, because both your parents were addicts, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And that had to have taken it, right? Like, so that has to affect the
Well,
relationship.
it answered for me why I think I put up with more than I should have in the early years, because there was a lot of what I called addictive behavior in my spouse, but he did not drink and he did not smoke. He didn't do drugs. There was nothing I could put my finger on, but he was addicted to work. He was addicted to working out. He was addicted to success. He was so driven that his family was not a priority, and it was very hurtful. And I can remember patiently having conversations with him and patiently saying, honey, we need to balance this out, because these kids are getting bigger and they're growing up without you, and I'm lonely. And he's like, honey, wait till I get here, or wait till I get there. It was always a promise. When I get this or when I get that, then we'll have time to be close.
Yeah.
And I just got tired of the promises. So even prior to his revelation, I was up to here with the work widow thing, and the loneliness, and then I mean, how hard this business is. My
The
husband,
hardest in the world.
yeah,
Mhm.
he was frustrated. He was angry a lot. He'd come home and kick the cat and scream at the dog. And I was like, nobody wants you to come home anymore because you're just grumpy.
Yep.
And so to that end, um, those conversations were becoming fruitless. And then when the D-Day hit and I had what I felt was like my final reason, I was done and I meant it.
Yeah.
And that somehow, it's as much a miracle to me that we're still together,
It is.
because
mean,
I totally expected him to just be a jerk and go, go screw a bunch of women and become some Hollywood playboy, and I'd
Yeah.
look up and see him on the TV with some who knows who.
The second wife who gets everything.
Yeah, the second,
and
the
the cliche.
third, or a
Yeah.
bunch of girlfriends. I was ready. I was like, whatever. Maybe I'll move back to Indiana, because I don't even want to run into you.
But
And he shocked me by the way he responded.
But I can't even believe you made it through and like I said this in the opening, you made it through the NFL, you make it through Hollywood, then there's the addiction issues. You also have cancer. I mean, like, to me, I think at this point, you guys would say to yourself, like, bring it, world. There's what, right? But what I also love, Rebecca, I feel like we live in such a disposable society.
Right.
From our material items today, right? We can order it on Amazon. We throw it away. I'm guilty of it. But also to relationships, because we can swipe right, we can swipe left, and I feel like we all make mistakes in our relationships, but I feel like we're just too fast to throw everything away.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that you didn't. I really, because I think that we all do that too fast.
Well,
Yeah.
I gotta say this with Rebecca. You know, she stuck in there 20 years, and that was it. 20 years was the spot. She said that's enough. And for me, and it was wild because I got the best advice I ever got. Is I called my good friend, and I said, I said my wife is gone, man. I said my family's over, and he basically, it was on the phone. He said, Terry, I can't promise you're gonna get your family back. I can't promise, because in fact you probably lost them forever. He said, but you need to get better for you. Now you got to understand what a watershed moment that was for me, because as a man, you always do good to get something. Like, okay, you take out the trash to get sex. You go to work to get money.
Yep.
You go, you any good thing you ever done,
You get your treat.
About, all right, now where's my payment? Where's my, we used to call them Scooby snacks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, guys get paid off snacks. Whereas if anything in Hollywood, you got to get your just your accolades. You know what I mean? Give me my props.
Yeah, that's right.
And this one was all by myself. It was like, just get better for yourself. And we also taught as men to not take care of ourselves. That's seen as selfish. That's like getting counseling or whatever. Is, well, you know what? I'm not going to be weak like that. I'm going to, you know, let all the other people deal with that stuff. And dude, you got to know, in the culture I'm from, like, you got to know, any kind of therapy was viewed as quackery.
Yeah.
So if you literally go to a doctor, you're considered crazy.
Yes.
You know, that was the whole thing.
Yep.
So that's the obstacle I had. And listen, when I showed up and I checked into rehab, man, for sexual addiction, because I was addicted to pornography, and I had an addiction to pornography even before I met her.
Right.
And I thought marrying her was going to solve it all. You know what I mean? It was like, oh yeah, look, you know what? Now I got a real woman. I don't have to ever use porn again. And let me tell you, the minute we got in an argument, I was right back. And I was like, oh my God, this is, and then I had even resolved that all men are like this. This is just the way it is. You got to have a face in front, and you got to have a whole nother you inside. I had created a double life.
And that's what was hard, was that he presented this face to the world, but at home he was this angry, workaholic husband and father. He was unmerciful, you know, just hard to live with.
And I think a lot of couples, the way guys have to pick up this book, Stronger Together, because a lot of couples will relate to that, because it's the guy, or by the way, the woman, okay, because I said, my wife was the earner, who is at the office, is the nicest guy or gal in the world, right? It's like, there's the mentor, is the this and that, but then comes home and is
it all out.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's super relatable. You know, I also saw in an interview, Rebecca, where, and I've heard people say this before, but I'd like to explore it. You said the Lord spoke to you to forgive Terry. And I love hearing that. And I want to know if there's a way that we can describe how you heard that, because I think a lot more people want to take that pause and want to hear from God, you know, on how to be directed. So when I do hear people say that they get these messages, clearly you got it and it worked out. What did that mean? Did it come through songs you heard, things you saw on TV? Was it a voice in your head? I'd love to get more on that.
Well, I'll tell you, the concept of forgiveness is not new, but it is very profoundly a part of our Christian faith. And Jesus said that, you know, when you forgive others, so will your Heavenly Father forgive you. And even in the Lord's Prayer, he said, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So God's saying, spread the love around. I'm forgiving all of you, so I want you to forgive each other. And so one of the things that I had practiced in my spiritual discipline was not just praying and talking to God, but trying to listen. So over the years, I had developed what I call a listening ear, to try to understand how to be guided through life, how to make wise decisions, how to listen to that deepest inner voice that I believe comes from God, and that I believe is available to every person. I think that we have to be quiet enough to listen to it. And something inside me, the same voice that was giving me all these suspicions, right, said to me, throw him out. And I threw him out. And I was ready to live without my husband. And a few days later, it was about a week later, I'm, you know, crying in my bathrobe like we described. And I heard that same voice say to me, go call him. And I'm like, I'm not going to call him, you know, I'm done. I was already over that bridge. I was already out the door. I was already picking the apartment and looking for the lawyer. And God started to talk to me about forgiveness. And when I argued with him, I said, I would be a fool to forgive my husband. And he said that I'm the biggest fool in the universe because I forgive all of humanity. And I thought, snap, what do you say to that? You know, and I had no argument. And I picked up the phone and called my husband. And we began the process of rebuilding the marriage. And
it was that spiritual discipline, though, right, that made it so you could hear those things. Because I feel like I agree. I think we can all tap into it, But what is it? Why can't other people hear those things? Because we hear on this time, people will come on our show. We have these these seminars. We call them. We bring our heal squad together, and we do these heal events. And there's some people who say what you're saying, and there's other people like I just didn't hear anything. I wasn't able to get there. Why do you think those people can't get there, and how can we help them get there?
This is my belief. It's kind of like a navigation system. You have to first get into the state of California before you can find Los Angeles. Okay? And something that I believe about hearing the voice of God is that we need to first do the things that we already know are right. And the way my pastor would explain it is you need to first get into the general will of God. So if you have these things in your life that you know are wrong, but you just keep doing them and just keep doing them and just keep doing, and your conscience is bothering you, your friends and your family are saying, hey, you need to change, and you refuse to listen to that. My pastor used to say, why would God say any more to you? Because you're not listening to the stuff he's telling you now. So you have to begin by listening to the common sense. Listen to your conscience. Listen to those few moral principles that you already know. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't bear false witness, and begin to practice as much as you know how what you already know is right. Then you can get into the specifics. If you watch your GPS system, it's not going to tell you where to exit until you're close to your destination. And in the same way, specific guidance, I believe, is only going to come to people who have already shown that they're open to general guidance. It's like a tree that just starts from the root and gets bigger, And I believe one of the reasons that I could hear like that is because I began 20 years ago on my journey of spiritual growth to obey at least what I knew was right at the time. It's just like we say, when we know better, we do better. Sometimes God speaks to us and we don't know that it's God because of who it came through or how it came. You could be driving down the street and see a billboard and something strikes you about the message on the billboard.
Yeah.
That is God talking to you.
Yes.
But because it didn't come with an angel and a halo and a flash of light, we go, oh, that was strange, or that was weird.
I want to say this is why I fell in love with Rebecca. She has always been like this. And I mean, always, since the day I met her at that church that day. And I'm like, the ethics, the morals, just the strong conviction has always been there. She's like, nope, Terry, we got to do this and this. We have to do these things right. Even when I wasn't right. I mean, there were times she's like, okay, you know what? I can't control you. I can't do it, but I'm not going to be with you on that. And I'm like, what? But she would has never been. And her strength.
I shouldn't say that. I've made some bad choices.
No, but what I mean is, but that's the core of who she is. You know what I mean?
And I think, again, God is speaking in the unexpected. He's, sometimes we're worrying about a problem and then we happen to stumble on a book or have a conversation with a person that addresses the thing that we're worried about. But if we're not tuned in expecting an answer, we don't see that as an answer. We just think, oh, well, I'll take it or leave it. But your answer just came. And because of the way it came, you didn't think it was a miracle, but it was.
But I want to add this too, is that I was severely damaged by religion. Severely. Yes. Again, my mother was addicted to religion. When I was a kid, we couldn't go to the movies. You couldn't dance. You couldn't listen to secular music. You couldn't play sports. She couldn't wear makeup. It was all about what you couldn't do. So I was like, couldn't.
Everything
Man,
he does now for a living.
everything I do for a living, I
Isn't it
could
something?
not do as a young man. And it stifled me, man. I just was really wanting to know what's going on, but I was being controlled. I was being manipulated. And that's what really bad, when I call religion, I'm about relationship. I'm not religious anymore. But my thing is that the relationship has to be, because I know I didn't build myself, but when I saw how many people were manipulating me, sometimes the way Rebecca would speak would throw me off. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, what are you trying to get me to do? Because I grew up with these headaches. It's almost like, because my father was addicted to alcohol, and my mom was addicted to religion. It was a really toxic household, and I didn't know who to trust. I didn't know what people wanted. It became, I knew she was a good person, but there were things that she would say, and I would be like, well, those church people told you that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he didn't trust me because he had seen very glaring hypocrisy in
Yeah,
his church experience as a child.
yeah.
Like, not just your normal, okay,
Oh
everybody's
no,
human. I mean, he had a pastor who was
he was
arrested for dealing
he
drugs.
was selling drugs out the pulpit.
The
Oh,
minister is
I
dealing
mean,
drugs
come
and
on. He had
yeah.
girlfriends all over the
all over
church. You
town,
know,
and then had some other bad experiences with church and church people. And though I'd had some, I hadn't had anything of that
Like
nature.
that.
And I also want to say this too, when it comes to hearing the voice of God, when your mother or your father calls you on the phone, you immediately know their voice because you've heard it many times. And one of the best ways that I've been told to learn to know that voice is to talk to him every day. The more you talk to him, the more you learn to listen. And the more you learn to listen, the more familiar that voice is to
mm,
you
that's good.
because you
I
hear
want
it
to. I
all the
want to
time.
cry. You guys are like just like a conversion. I swear to God, and I needed this. Um, y- wow. What would you say if we could just sum it up to, you know, I don't know if it was like three. I don't want to put you on the spot, but what would be three things to how you go through all of this into your fourth decade together? And I understand your grandparents now, which is just even more mind blowing because you look so young. What were the three secrets to making this all work, or a couple of secrets?
I'm gonna say one, and
Okay.
I've been saying this for a long, long time, is that you cannot love someone and control them at the same time. And I had that confused. And it's very easy to confuse love and control. If I had Rebecca tied up in a basement and she never go anywhere, is that love? What I had to realize is that her coming home to me voluntarily is love. It's literally that. Not, you can't do this, you can't do that, but a lot I've seen where I was trying to control her in many, many ways, by my actions, by what I did, because I'm the man of the house. And this is another thing. I felt simply because I was a man that I was more valuable than all the women in my life. Period. I was taught that. My culture taught me that. I had proof because my father used to beat my mother and he ran the place. Now, I never beat her, but in the culture where I came from, they would be like, hey man, you better check your girl, you better check your wife. It was like I owned my family, not really had a family. You know what I'm saying?
No, the
These things
Italian.
are,
I'm Italian. The Italian culture is the same thing. The
oh,
man's the boss. That's
yeah,
it.
it was like, we're the boss.
King's the castle. That's it.
It's my way or the highway.
That's right. Right.
But that doesn't work
No.
in love.
Not today.
No.
It
No.
doesn't work for love. Love
No.
doesn't do that. Love, you go in and out voluntarily, whatever. If everything we have has to be from her voluntarily, and nothing, no control. And man, it was watershed for me, man, because I confused the two.
Yeah. My favorite answer to this, I say, is the F word, which is forgiveness. You have to forgive each other. whether it's for the little things or the big things. Because, I heard one woman say, you can bury a relationship with a lot of little digs. It's the little things sometimes that drive wedges between us. We say something unkind, and and that builds up, and that wall builds up, that resentment builds up, and then down the road you don't even know why you're mad at each other. You don't know why you have resentment, because you have buried whatever it was that was said or done. So that forgiveness, so the necessity of apologizing, first of all, confronting, bringing it up,
Yeah.
and then your partner being humble enough to say, hey, you're right, that was uncalled for, what I said or did, and then letting it go. There's no way you can stay together without forgiveness. And then my favorite answer to this is reflected in this necklace that I'm wearing. It's a chain with two hoops that are connected to each other, and then are both hanging by the same chain. And I always say that Terry and I are looped together like these rings, but God is the chain that holds us up. And I tell everyone that if you can invite God into your union, you just have a much better chance of sustaining love, because He is love, and He teaches us the proper way to love each other.
I want to add to that point because it's
Please.
so awesome. It's in the same thing in the 12-step program,
Yes.
where the higher power, they find that those people who are in rehab and with a belief in a higher power are 90% more successful. And it's the same thing with a marriage. It's kind of like, we need a ref sometime. You know what I mean?
Jesus is the ref.
Yeah, you get somebody to say, hey, I literally have heard, hey, Terry, you shouldn't speak to her like that. And you're like, yeah, I know. And then I have to go back and apologize and go back and say, these things are amazing.
This just happened last week.
Yeah, literally.
Last week, something happened, and I don't remember what you said or did, but we went to bed, and about 3 a.m, he rolled over. Honey, I'm so sorry. The Lord said I was wrong.
I was wrong.
I shouldn't have said
I'm
that.
sorry.
And I'm so sorry. And boo, boo, boo. Oh, yeah, it was about the property. Yeah.
That's it.
And, that conscience, that voice of your conscience.
Yeah, what about business decisions, though, too? Like business decisions, right? Because I think that couples fight over money, too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right? So
Yeah.
that's going to mean something, because, Terry, you seem like the primary earner in your family. Maria's in ours. How do you guys work that out? Is that ever a problem?
It can be.
It used to be. Let me tell you, it used to be. I go into detail in the book how I didn't know how to handle money at all. We had bill collectors calling, nonstop. It was crazy. I had every credit card and no job. It doesn't make any sense. I was in debt. It was a mess. And, she was the smart one. She was the one who was like, look, we needed this, 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 and this, and this. And
I was trying to advise him, but he thought I was trying to control him.
But this is another thing. There were many, many times where I just had to come back and I asked her what we should do about everything, and it's different when she defers. It's like, you know what I mean? It's not like this is me and I got this. She's like, you know what, Terry, I want you to handle that and I will handle this.
Yeah, we certainly, I have deferred to him on many decisions. And what happens is, unless I have a gut check or a bad feeling, I let him do whatever it is he feels is right to do. But when he brings something to me and I don't feel good, I speak up. I say, babe, this doesn't feel right. I don't know why, but those numbers don't add up for me or whatever. I don't like that person.
And that's what we got in the thing about. And I said, you know what?
And then later on, someone else will come to him and say the same thing that I said. And he'll go, okay, I got my second sign. I better listen to her.
Yeah.
But it's not about control. It's about deference. And there are many things where it's all her. Like I ask her, what do you want to do about this? I'm doing whatever you say. I'm under you in this part of what we're doing, Right. And we each don't step on each other this way.
And we had to learn that.
Yeah.
We had to learn it.
Yep.
You know, and there's another thing you said, Rebecca, that I have always said to my wife too, and I've never heard anyone else say it, is you said, I would still be your best friend if we divorced. And I've said that to Maria too. I'm like, honey, like, don't stay with me because you think you have to. I'm like, I'm still going to be your best friend. I've made a commitment to you for the rest of my life to take care of you. I will do that if I'm living in this house or I'm 2,000 miles away. You know me. So don't stay with me because you think you have to. But I've never heard anyone else say that. And I think that's wonderful because I think, again, a lot of people like, how do you throw away a best friend?
You know, when I was going through my reconciliation with my husband, one of the analogies that came to me as I was debating whether to stay or go, my kids were little at the time, and one of them had taken the pink Play-Doh and the blue Play-Doh and mashed it all together. So there were chunks of blue and chunks of pink in this ball on my counter. And I looked at that chunk of Play-Doh, and it was like God said, now try to separate the blue from the pink, Rebecca. Either way, you're going to have damage. There's going to be pieces of you there and pieces of him here. And that was kind of his way of saying, why don't we just try to fix the Play-Doh instead of tearing it apart? And it was just one of many little analogies or little moments of inspiration that spoke to me and said, you know, give this a fighting chance. Don't throw away a person because they let you down. See if we can save this situation. And we tried.
And you know, and even sometimes when people can't save it, I'm astounded that you know, I see couples like you produced children together. You, at some point, you had something special. Okay, maybe that's gone away. Why must we be mortal enemies?
Right.
You know, come on. Like, you know, you still have so much together. And maybe you've grown apart, you've changed. Okay, but I think that, yeah, we all forget, like, wait, we're still connected, you know, and we can still.
And that was the thing that I said to a lot of people when they asked me why I chose to forgive my husband. I said, forgiveness is one thing. Staying and working it out is another.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if we broke up, I still need to forgive you. Because we still have to talk, because we still share those kids.
Co-parenting.
We still got the money issues. We would be fighting over the alimony and the child support, whatever.
Giving it all away to lawyers.
I mean, so either way, we would have had to mend our relationship, whether we stayed married to each other or whether we broke up. And we just chose to stay. Well, he doesn't like to say it, but he begged me.
I did. But I got to say this, you cannot, in our culture today, it's all about my bad. Hey, my bad. I'm sorry, whatever. But with no making of amends. I was willing to do anything I had to do to get my family back. You have to understand, it did not matter. I saw what I was losing and I clawed. And I scratched.
He really did.
And I pulled. And I said, I do as hard as I went for the NFL. And I went 10 times harder to get my family back. I did not care. And I went to all the counseling, all the stuff, read all the books, and was just like, and sat here in total just, I remember
abject humility.
Yeah, because we had a thing called disclosure where you have to tell each other all the bad things you've done. And to come home, there were times I would come home and she'd be in tears. And I knew I did that. I mean, I don't know what to say. It was so brutal because it makes a man want to run, because that's what happens. Men run from that.
Yes.
And I said, I'm not going. I remember telling Becky, I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. And she was in her tears and we cried together. We were just, I'm going to stay in this. And we are going to.
No, I know. I feel you, man. I do. I really do. It's like, oh, it's okay. And, it's so funny. People, you just said something so interesting about my bad, but we get that a lot today, right? It's almost like the people come into, even employees be like, okay, first thing I want to say is my bad. I take full responsibility, but no one makes amends, and no one's ever put it to me that way.
Right.
Yeah.
you went and you did the work to make the amends, and that's so much of what's going on right today.
That's right.
People
That's right.
do the work. Oh man, well listen, it all worked out. Your other books were bestsellers. This audiobook is going to be just insanely a bestseller, but more importantly, it's going to help so many people. I mean, I'm so moved by this. Do you guys okay, this is a little digression, but reality TV show Married at First Sight. And I don't know if either of you watch it. You're probably too busy.
I've heard of it. I've heard of it. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, you've got Bachelor and you've got all those shows, 90 Day Fiance, and my wife and I, we're bonded over. We love TV, so that's one of our like pastimes. But Married at First Sight, it's the one show that the reason it's not as entertaining maybe as the other ones is that the counselors actually are trying to make a match with people that meet and marry on the spot first sight, but the intention's not let's make a shit show reality show, like let's get the crazy guy with the crazy girl, put them together and make good TV. No, let's find two people that love each other, that have the same values, and let's see this work. Pastor Cal is one of the lead people on it, and one of the gifts he gave me was he and his wife, they have a sign in their house that says every day we commit to recommit. And so every day now that I got that, you guys have given me so many gifts that I'm going to go share with Maria, but we do that now. So Maria will wake up, and sometimes when we're not in a good place, she'll go, wait, are we still going to recommit? Are we going to commit to today? And I'm like, okay, I will. And it just, I don't know. So anyway, that's the last time I was that moved, but this is incredibly moving. And guys, here's the thing. You've been together all this time, and you already can call it a day. You can move somewhere way out in the woods, go to Canada. You can do whatever you want. You have nothing else to prove. But here's the thing, because one thing I will say I know is I maybe don't know relationships, but I know Hollywood. You guys have so much more ahead of you. It's going to be so fun. Yes. I'm really excited for you guys.
Thank you.
For both of you,
Well, we know this, and this is what we know.
Yeah,
we've
totally
just begun.
Beginning.
The kids are about to be out the house. I mean, our youngest is 15, and it's us rolling out together two youngins
for the next adventure. I mean, I see you guys producing stuff. I see much more performing. I see you performing more, Rebecca. I see it. It's crystal clear to me, and it's so exciting and so well deserved. And geez, what a just testament. I guess I'm kind of speechless because I'm just processing all of this. And all I can do is say thank you. And I know Maria, she's Maria's mother right now is unfortunately, we think, is in the last days of life. It's been a 5-year battle, and we're blessed because she was given 6 months. And if it weren't for COVID, maybe we probably could have gone longer. And who knows? It's not over. We're praying for our miracle. But Maria loves both of you, and she asked that if someday you guys come back so she can have you. She would be honored
with you guys.
I know you are. And you always have friends with Maria and I want you guys to know that. And always, we've been on the press end of things, so that gives us different advantages. And just know that we're always going to be here. And if Rebecca, if you need coaching on your career, that's a little thing I do on the
Yes,
and you'll love it. I get 10% good karma. That's all I ask for money, and I'm paid very well.
He's real good.
And I'm paid very well. But because I see a lot. Like I don't know. I used to think it was psychic, but I'm
Adam
getting.
Carolla told him he had a crystal brain.
We're going with that. Well, I think it is more of God, because I do get these things that come in my head when I see people, and I used to when I was I see things. So I'm seeing a lot there. I've seen a lot both together, and I see a lot for you, and it's gonna be so fun and exciting, and deserved.
I received that.
Yes.
I receive all of that.
Yeah, she deserves it.
You guys, God bless. Thank you so much, and everyone, please go out there and buy this book.
I'm gonna say this again, Kevin. That I think you don't understand what I'm seeing, but I really think that was a great conversation, and I feel like you've evolved so much. You're drained. No, and I say that because I know it's still like challenging for you, because it's a lot of work. It's like we're in school, but I think I don't know. I just felt like you were that one was just really nice.
It's
and really
hard.
good.
It's harder for me to do the stars.
I know.
It takes more work and more sensitivity. But
They're amazing though.
incredible. And like,
I'm like, will I ever have a relationship like that?
Yeah, of course you
my
will. Well, no, but
God.
that's why you listen
I know.
to people like this.
I know.
You know, like if and when you're ready, you write. She, you know, that's what she wanted. Like she was ready, and she wrote down her list.
I couldn't believe that.
You know,
I loved you jumping in there with the how do we listen to God and hear that voice.
Yeah, I think so many of us are just too toxified. Too many distractions. And like they said, they're not, and I love, she said, it could be in a billboard, it could be in the ball of Play-Doh, it could be.
Right.
But no, I learned a lot. There's a lot of stuff that I'm going to apply.
Me too.
I feel like you and him are very similar.
Yeah.
Like in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because like all the stories of like your upbringing and things like that. And when he said the thing about the ego, I know you and me were both like,
Yeah.
Well, and Kev, you have to, it's crazy. You have to read the full quote of what I put it in your notes. It's wild. He talks to, it's like the ego's the male's ego is an animal.
I guess I don't have it yet.
Let me see. I'll find it for you.
Is it success? Oh, yeah. It's funny also, you know, Stephen and a regular guy Friday, we had done, I don't know if it's an episode or two back, but it was all about, you know, one of the greatest asset to have is the ability to evolve. And that's why Kelsey and I were like looking at each other because we just went over that and they were talking about
exactly
that's how they
you have to
succeeded in a relationship and succeeded in life. And
by
the way, listen, if none of this appeals to you, well, then maybe your sense of vanity will, because I don't think it's a coincidence they both look so young as grandparents.
I know.
But when you have the ability to always be evolving, you know, I swear you stay young.
100,000,000%. And I want to read this real quick because
Okay.
it's so good. The whole quote was, success is the warmest place to hide, especially for a man. The male ego tends to be its own animal. I had plenty of people telling me I was fine. Plenty of people telling me, no, man, you're great. In fact, you're free. You can do whatever you want. But you know what? I want my wife. I realized what I really needed in my life. I realized that anything without her was nothing. I'm like, the fact to even speak that into
so
like,
true.
Holy cow.
No, I will say at my best, certainly not my worst, because I wasn't always like this, but at my best, whether it was leaving some of the jobs Maria had, the toxic work environments, or her mother's tumor, her tumor, I would say, Maria, we're going to figure it out. Wait, listen, end of the day, we always said from the beginning when we were in a basement, we have each other.
Yeah.
And I would look to my mother and her, it's hard to say boyfriend, you know, but they've been together for 15 years. But her and Frankie, and I think of their life, and they have a modest condominium together, and they have a little money saved, and they have their retirement and health benefits. And you know what? It's like they have a really nice life together. And I always say to Maria, what more do we need than that? And at the end of the day, as long as we have each other, so outside of that, you know, and I think these two just kept reminding themselves. And, you know, I was taught, too, that anything, when you look, and Stephen, I know you're into stocks, but the best way with a stock is you're supposed to look at the history of the stock as an indicator for what the future of the stock is going to be. It's your best indicator you could have.
Right.
And so if the stock is, you know, one of those ones that steadily climbs, dips a little but steadily climbs, you have a good bet on your hands that that's going to be a pretty good long-term investment. But you know, for them in their relationship, it was like they weren't even thinking NFL at 19. So then now it's 7 seasons of the NFL. Most people would be able to call that a day.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to go to LA, but in their brain they're saying to themselves, we're like a good stock. Like we did 7 years in the NFL, piece of cake, we did that. Okay, boom. Now what? Okay, Hollywood. We did that.
But because they were able to, okay, let's pick up and go. Okay, let's pick up and go.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Like, that's
right.
massive.
That adaptability.
Yeah.
Right. So what did I even say earlier? The ability to change.
Yeah.
I'm so tired. I'm sorry. So it is adaptability. I was saying that's one of the greatest tools to have in your toolbox is be able to adapt. And if you want to stay young, be able to adapt. But if you want to be successful, be able to adapt. But in everything.
Everything.
But one of the things that I think is really cool about them, especially after this interview, is, she said she thought he would just go off and be another Hollywood playboy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you think about that from her perspective, and then you look at like what he did, and this is somebody who already had the NFL career, who's already had the money, the fame, and all this kind of stuff, and they humbled themselves to maintain the things that they found value in, and that humbling brought him to be the person he is today. And when you look at the roles he plays, he brings that to his career. It's like when you look at, like, that's why I am such a fan of Terry Crews, is because, like, one of the best characters in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, because he's wholesome, and he brings that wholesomeness to the show and gives men who like view masculinity as one thing, and he kind of presents that as a hyper masculine man himself in like a very vulnerable and emotional way that people can relate to and be like, oh, it's okay to kind of dive into these kind of things.
Totally.
And I think I don't think he would be as successful as he is today if he didn't make those choices in the past.
Which is so ironic, right?
Best things about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so ironic because you would think that he would get burned for it, or he would, like, people wouldn't, especially in Hollywood, wouldn't allow him to be that way. And I agree, Steve. And I think that's what makes him so special. Like, even him getting emotional in the interview is like, that's why we love you. It's right there.
Yeah.
But David Koechner too, remember, he was talking about his daughter
100%.
and he started crying during it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, okay, but especially David Koechner's a big guy too.
Yeah.
And he works out, and so, you know what I mean? So it's
both of them have been through hell and back, though. They've had to really work.
But, and here's the thing, though, if anyone else is out there, and let's say your life has been messy, both of their lives, Rebecca King and Terry, both of their lives were messy. They had addictive parents, and she had a child in their teen years out of wedlock. And but it also made them who they are. They could not have what they have now if they didn't go through all of that. And I think that's the stuff we tend to forget, and we tend to focus on all the negative things, unfortunately, and I think that leads to more negative things.
I agree.
But that was
they're amazing,
special one, and really grateful to both of them. And my goodness, you're gonna see a lot of, my God.
How cute and giddy were they when you were like, when they were saying how their kids are gonna be out of the house, they're gonna be empty nesters. They're like, that's right, we're just starting.
Yeah.
And you guys are so awesome.
So it's another chapter.
And how cool to look at it that way. So often it's like, oh man, kids are gonna be gone. What are we gonna do now? They're giddy. They're like, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, we want to do our thing.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a new adventure. But it's Kelsey, as I've been kind of telling you about that lately too. Is I survived the carny business because I looked at it like an adventure.
Right.
I never looked at it like.
What did you say to me the other day? What did you explain it as? Not an adventure. You said it was.
I remember we used to call ourselves pirates.
Yeah, that was it.
I was just say pirate's life for me. But I always treated it that way, and that's how I was able to get through it. It's just adventure. Okay, but I think of Maria's parents. It was like anytime we would call them, drop of a hat. Okay, well, can you guys jump on a plane in 2 hours? Yeah, sure. We pack. We be there. We got to do some things around the house, but no way, we'll be there. I mean, just. But I think that's I've seen the most successful people. My friend Andrew Lee, same thing. Yeah. Like he just can adapt no matter if it's whatever's going on. So what we're gonna do is, I know the cynical Steven would say, well, Andrew's like that because he has a lot of money, and I always correct Steven and say, that's more in his DNA. But even if that were true, I see, Costa and Litza, and I see. These people, Terry and his wife, Maria and I, it was just always like, okay.
So true.
Is that ability to adapt and just roll and treat it like, okay, what's the next adventure? And we made it this far, piece of cake. I think I said this to Maria last night. I said, Maria, listen, there's nothing worse than losing a loved one. Obviously. But it is a natural part of life. So outside of the natural things that happen in life, I'm like, we have been through so much worse. And she's like, yeah, we have. I go, yeah. And I said, and we thrived, and we came out okay.
Mm-hmm.
We were JFF, Kelsey.
JFF. Just effing fine.
Be Regular Guy Friday fans.
That's right.
Steven, is it Regular Guy Fridays or Regular Guy Friday? Because the logo says Regular Guy Fridays. And I think it's Regular Guy Fridays, but then...
I thought it was Friday, but then we put an S on the logo, and I'm not mad at it. So we were just discussing that today, Steven.
Steven,
so
are you mad at that?
I'm not mad at it. I think that you're celebrating Regular Guy Fridays, but every Friday it's Regular Guy Friday.
So should the logo be Regular Guy Fridays?
I don't know.
I don't
what do
know.
you get? I mean, I don't know.
Here's
if
what
it is-
I
don't
think
know
we
if
should
it-
agree on. Nobody cares. So
I think they do.
It's time. It's definitely time to go. And this was a great.
Wait, I want to tack on though to your comment you just
please.
made. I really loved that because who was it? I can't remember who was it who told us that you should think about traumas that way, or like if you're going through hard times, it's like pause, assess, and then realize all the other hard crap you've gone through, and it just makes it so much.
Yeah. Well, and then we've heard so many things. on the
So
show.
many.
Find your purpose in your trauma. We heard that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why did God bring me this, and what,
Right.
why the universe? Okay, so I always get, for me, it's God. For someone else, might be the universe, but it came to you for a reason.
Right.
What's the purpose?
Right.
What's the learning?
Right.
And then I do look at the past and say, well, I made it through all this, so why
All of
wouldn't I?
this. Yeah.
I'm still here.
Mm-hmm. So
Anyway.
anyways.
All right, Kelsey. Until then, what?
Until then, you guys, let's all. Oh, actually, really quick. I'm so sorry. You have to watch White Chicks with me this weekend now.
I love White Chicks.
It's literally my favorite. Steven's laughing. I was singing when we were prepping, and Kevin was like, "Stop it."
I did it. By the way, no. My back was turned to you, and I said, "Stop it," because I could tell you were not pointing to the sky with your eyes closed, acting as if you were curing cancer.
Yeah.
That's the rules. If you're gonna sing out loud, you need to point to the sky, eyes closed,
Yeah.
and have a face that looks like you're curing cancer.
But that's still.
Or no singing out loud.
But that's still one of my favorite scenes of all time is when he sings the Vanessa Carlton in the car in White Chicks.
Steven, did you see the? Okay, but Steven, did you the most recent take on White Chicks, the Netflix movie with God, I'm sorry, Maria did his show. He's a freaking genius.
Tyler Perry, Spike Lee.
No. He has a comedy show with oh my God. I'm so sorry, guys. I am so tired. Sacha Baron Cohen ended up helping him edit it because he goes undercover. He plays a different character. It's kind of one of those movies where he's playing a different character the whole movie, but real people don't realize it.
Marlon Wayans?
No. He's your generation, guys. I'm so sorry.
I don't know what you. I don't know
Me
what you're
neither.
talking about.
We'll figure it out.
Oh, this is
You guys.
going.
Is it actually a take on White Chicks though?
The whole thing is they talk about white chicks in the movie and how the two of them look like burn victims more than they look like white chicks, and they pay it off in the most amazing way. Oh man,
My favorite line I always say.
who?
I don't know.
Oh, this is gonna be crazy. Who was the comedian that started the Bill Cosby stuff? It's probably an age gap here. There was one comedian who did stand up who started talking about the Bill Cosby crimes, and it was like a joke, but then it led to he was the co-host of this show. And you're gonna like call me an
Hannibal
idiot.
Buress?
Yes. So look up Hannibal Buress, co-host of.
Oh wait, Hannibal Buress, yeah.
I think he's the co-host of the show of the person.
Eric Andre?
Yes.
Eric Andre show.
There we go.
Yeah. So
There
Eric
we go.
Andre's movie on Netflix.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Oh, okay. got
Steven,
it.
have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it. I'm trying to.
Guys.
Bad Trip.
Yes,
Bad Trip.
guys.
Okay.
Okay, let's give a shout out because I know he's really depressed because he expected this to be in the movie theaters. And, you know what I mean? He made it a while ago.
Oh yeah.
And he thought this was going to be his Bruno or his, Borat. So anyway, I don't know how we got on this thing.
We got
but
on
if
it
you
'cause-
want to laugh at a movie, you laugh out loud. Outstanding. Eric
So what's
Andre's
it
new
called?
movie. Steven, it's what?
Bad Trip.
Bad Trip.
Bad Trip
So give
Bad
that one a
Trip.
watch, and then
White Chicks.
there's a movie that was made about a year ago that we just saw that was Yeah, this is just going to be the episode of like Kevin's exhausted brain can't think of these things. But Kristen Wiig's movie. It's look up Kristen Wiig's movies. There's a one she made with another female, and it's super funny. It's really good, Steven. This is purely scripted.
Kristen Wiig. Okay, it's not the Wine Country one, is it?
No. They go down to Florida.
Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar.
Yes.
What?
Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar.
Who's
By the
in
way,
that?
Kelsey, you and your mother. Good mom and daughter movie to watch.
Was she in Maya Rudolph?
No.
Who
No,
is
I
it?
didn't know the other actress. She's phenomenal.
Oh my god.
The casting's incredible. And the writing is insane.
She's one of my favorite humans.
But I'm telling you guys, like, good for everybody. Those are two good movie picks. I know that's the purpose of why you tuned into Better Together with Maria Menounos for our movie picks.
For our movie picks.
So I'm giving you like a couple that you just want a good 90 minutes, just laugh and escape.
I'm here for it.
Boom. By the way, yeah, those would be good for you, Kelsey.
Can I tell you my favorite line from White Chicks, and then I'll end the show?
Yes, go ahead. Then.
Are we Martha Stewart broke or MC Hammer broke? I used to ask. My dad was like,
By the way, I think the Wayans are probably underrated. I think Marlon Wayans is probably the most underrated, comedic actor out there. The most underrated.
I totally agree.
And it's funny because we have the same lawyer, and
really?
the few times I've been lucky enough to like cross paths in the office, boom, he just goes into just
so funny.
Right into just making you, just killing you.
It's so funny.
Which I always feel bad when comedians do that because it's like, I know you work so hard already.
Yeah.
Just chill. It's okay. You don't have to do this for me.
Chill.
I'm loving it. I'm going to tell my kids and my grandkids about it. But you don't have to do that. Okay, you guys. So until then, Kelsey Meyer.
Until then, you guys, be nice people, make good choices, be present, and watch some White Chicks.
No, Steven, watch Bad Trip because people have seen White Chicks.
Bye.
Steven, Bad Trip, and then that other one. Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar.
Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar.
Because I think they'll both have sequels. They're that good.
Okay,
honestly.
I'm going to watch it.
All right.
Okay. Bye, you guys.
I'd say buy Betches, but that's
That's
not
regular
this show.
Guy Friday.
That's regular Guy Friday.
Okay, bye, guys.